There you go. Well, hello, everyone. I hope your day and your week has been fantastic. This is my Friday. I'm just super excited about that. I don't know why we off, but I'm thankful to God that we are off. So I'm pretty happy. Don't mind me. I'm trying to turn up my volume. So tonight I am so excited. I say that every week. I know that I do, but again, I just that people would come and allow me to talk and we have a conversation. It's always exciting to me. So if you would go ahead and share, have some watch parties, and I'm gonna try, but that operator error comes in, and I had to do the best I can. So, but I know y'all are experts. So I want you all to go ahead. I think I got it. Child, I think I got it. Yes. Well, how about that? Come on, Jesus. I'm super excited. But you all, I want you to, if you would, go ahead and share. Um, we are going to get started. We have a great, a marvelous guest tonight. I am so thrilled and so honored to have her. And you know what? Hello, Danielle. And I have to tell you all, you know what? When I was preparing, I usually when I prepare, the questions just flow. They just come automatically. But when I was preparing for this lady, I was like, oh Lord. Oh my God, I was all nervous and stuff. Girl, it was a trip. I was like, what is going on with you? You need to get it together. But let me tell you, I am so excited tonight to have Dr. Deanne V. Johnson with us tonight. I'm just overwhelmed. She is a woman full of wisdom, full of information, and we're going to have a conversation, and we're going to cover a lot of ground. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, and we may touch on some things that may mess up your little apricot. But I would ask you to stay the course. I think it's all going to be good. I think you're going to be enriched. You're going to learn something tonight. But let me introduce her. Let me introduce her professionally. First, let me say, Dr. D, how you doing?
I am so good. I cannot believe I'm sitting here listening to you talking about you were nervous. As long as we've known each other, come on, girl.
I was certain because you got to come correct. You can't be clear when it comes to you. You got a following, honey. I got to come correct. I can't be playing when it comes to you.
Child, I don't know who's following. I hope they're all right.
Hey, Yolanda, thank you for joining tonight. Well, let me tell you a little bit about the good doctor. Let me tell you, she's born, she's a native of Brooklyn. She is a licensed ordained minister with over 30 years of ministerial experience. So she comes with some stuff. She ain't playing. Let me tell you, she has a master's degree. Well, she has a bachelor's degree in biblical education, and then a master's degree in Christian education, and then a D-Min degree in discipleship and leadership. Hey, Dr. Pastor Clark, how you doing tonight? She left full-time employment as a corporate position as a developer and executive trainer to go into full-time ministry with her husband, Pastor Bill. Just a sweet, sweet couple. I am so honored. And if he want to jump on, it's fine with me. I'm cool. We laid back. We ain't that starched. She has a couple of businesses. Really, she has 3 businesses that she started. She started Overflow Ministries. She's the founder of Administrative Resources Consultants, and she is also the director and president of Summits and Scribe Publishing. Homegirl is working, and not to mention she's a wife. She's a full-time pastor. She's executive pastor at New Covenant Christian Ministries, where I was a part of for eight years.
Yes.
I am just so excited. They are the ones that really pushed me I remember when our musician left and I was doing the administrative part. Pastor Bill said, "So when you gonna put you on the schedule to lead?" I was like, I don't do that. I just do the administrative stuff. And then I remember Elder Margot saying, "So when are you going to join the school of ministry?" I was like, I don't do that stuff. and they pushed me into doing all of that. I am so honored. I have to tell you, even when my sister passed, they were so instrumental. They were such a blessing to our family, and I am forever indebted to all that they've been to us and how they've pushed us into purpose. I really, really, I am honored to have you here.
It is my honor. It really is. And just listening to you kind of going back over all those years together. And I'm just amazed at how God kind of aligns our lives and has us where we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to be there. So yeah, this is really a treat for me. Not to mention you totally pulling me out of my comfort zone, got us on Facebook Live and stuff. I'm like, child, it's a blessing if I just check Facebook.
Well, I'm glad you did.
No, so look, I do have to be honest. I almost missed your message, and I think you had to send me another one to say check your DM, and I was like, oh, okay, she want me to go to Messenger. I got to get better. Y'all pray my strength in the Lord.
Ooh, well, it can be good and bad. Well, Danielle says that they were a tremendous blessing to our family at that time. Thank you, Pastors Johnson. Yeah, they were. So when we were thinking about, when I was doing the pre-planning for this year, and we were thinking about Women History Month, the first person that came to my mind was you.
Wow.
And I was like, I know she's busy and I don't know if she's going to do it, but I'm going to put it out there. Because you have done so much and you do so much. And I just thought that you could come on and be such an encouragement to women in particular, and then to people globally. I just think that you have weathered the storm. I think you have come through some things, and I think that you have a word in your mouth for the people. And to be totally honest, I think you won't go churchy on us. You'll give us Bible, but you are going to give us the real deal. And I think that's what people are in need of right now. So before we get started into my list of questions, I want you to go ahead and tell us about the ministries that you're involved in. Tell us where we can reach you. Tell us how we can contact you. Just give us all that information for us.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the 3 organizations that I started, and the one that's, I don't want to say is dearest to my heart, but it's very, very close. And that is Overflow Ministries International. And I started that to be a source of support for women in their calling and their purpose, to just help elevate them. I believe that God has given me something that is necessary to pour in. And sometimes we say pour into the next generation, but we should be pouring into anybody who comes within our sphere of influence. And so that's what Overflow Ministries is really all about. And of course, you can reach me there at liveintheoverflow.org. I'm also the president and founder of Administrative Resource Consultants. And that I started because I really do have a love for the local church. But having spent so many years in corporate and living through that, the dichotomy of how we can go into the corporate world and give our best, but then we come to the church and we act as though the church ought to settle for whatever. And can I just go ahead and say it? So sometimes we do ragged church.
Come on, preach now.
We do ragged church. And so we need to stop putting the receipts in the shoebox. So basically what I do for my own church as an executive pastor, overseeing all of our staff and volunteers and helping with implementation of strategy and things of that nature and training, I now do that for other churches that maybe can't afford to have an executive pastor or someone like me on staff. And then Psalmist and Scribe was a company that I started really just to publish my own books and to publish my husband's music.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've published like 4 books already.
Wow.
Yeah. My first one was Notes from My Bible, which was a devotional. Then I did Keys to a Leader's Success, which is a mini book. Then the next one was What to Do When You're Going Through. Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, we never talk about that. We never talk about that kind of thing that, we tell people, we make people think that everything is going to be perfect all the time. And while I won't go to church on you, I am unapologetically Christian.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And so unfortunately in the church, we make people feel like if they're going through something, there's something wrong with them. We kind of treat them like Job's friends did. If you're going through this, then you must have done something. But that doesn't square with scripture. And so that's where that book came from. And then the fourth one actually was a great departure because it actually was a translation, if you will, of my doctoral dissertation.
Wow.
Yeah, because I did that. My focus there was moving from membership to discipleship, developing discipleship-focused strategies, because we were called to make disciples, not make church members.
Yes.
And the last one, I shouldn't say the last one, but the next one that's coming this spring is The Seasons of a Woman's Life.
All right, now, come on. Congratulations. Come on, talk to us about that.
Oh my gosh. I feel as though that book it's almost like the first one, like Notes from My Bible. I feel like I'm pulling out my own life, and it's really feeling like giving birth to something. But basically talking about the difference between stages and seasons, and helping women to understand that we all go through seasons. They're cyclical.
Yes.
I think the great writer of Ecclesiastes said, to everything there is a time, and a purpose for every time, a time for, and a purpose for every time under the sun. And so we go through these stages. We go through stages, yes, but we also go through seasons, and they're cyclical. So what do you do when you are in a winter season of life?
Yeah.
You don't die. You're not dead.
Yeah.
You're just developing.
Yes.
You don't do anything above the ground, but stuff is working underneath.
Yeah.
You can't live in a perpetual spring. You're not always going to be blossoming. And so really kind of helping us to know how to walk through those seasons of life. And it is designed to be both an individual read as well as really for small groups. So I'm hoping that small groups of women will get together and do a study from that book. So, yeah.
So this is not even on the question list, but you know what? Sometimes I think as Christians, I think we really don't really show who we really are, because we want to present that front like all is well. I have no problems whatsoever. I just pray about everything, and then I just wait for the Lord, and everything works out. Sometimes it doesn't always happen. And we do have issues. We do need a counselor. Sometimes we do need therapy. Sometimes we do need to go to the doctor.
That's right. That's right. I believe all of those things are of God.
Yes. And somebody I know says everybody needs a therapist and God.
There you go. There you go. I completely agree. Agree. Yeah.
Hey, Loretta, thank you for joining us. Loretta Harper is on. Miss Clara Warren is on. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hey, Pastor Nedra, thank you. Good to see you all tonight. I told you had a following. I told you. Jacqueline Garden is on. I told you had a following. You don't be. I told you.
Nah. Oh, some of these are precious, precious women in my life. Yeah.
Hey, Miss Janice Moulton, good to see you tonight.
Oh my gosh,
Yes,
Janice. Hey.
I told you. This is me. So let's just go ahead and get started. So when you were growing up,
Yeah.
when you were thinking about your future, thinking about where you wanted to go after high school, after college, tell us a little bit about your dreams and your aspirations.
Oh my gosh, that's easy. So my dream was to be a professional singer. Yes,
Interesting. Come
yes.
on, come
I
on.
wanted to be a professional singer and I wanted to be a talk show host, though I didn't know what that was because, see, they
Uh-huh,
didn't call them that because
uh-huh.
when I was coming up, there was Ed Sullivan.
Yeah,
So, this is pre-Oprah. So,
yeah.
but I knew, I knew that I would stand in the mirror with my brush, with my hairbrush, and
Uh-huh.
I would interview the person in the mirror and I would answer. And,
Really?
and after a while, I interviewed my dolls. They weren't very cooperative. I don't know. They weren't cooperative. They weren't good guests, but I was honing my skills. So
Absolutely.
never became a talk show host, though I still love that.
Mhm.
But I did become a professional singer.
Do tell.
I did. Pray tell. That was my other life.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I became a professional singer. I sang backup for years. And then I was a background singer for the great Gloria Gaynor.
Come on, come
I
on. I
will
know.
survive. Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
And beautiful, beautiful lady. And that particular gig took me around the world twice. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
But that's where my desire was. My grandfather was very musical. He was very much into classical music. My father had a doo-wop group, a
Mhm,
50s doo-wop group.
mhm.
And I remember standing up like on the side of the bed and watching them rehearse in our living room sometime. So I'm not altogether sure where the bug for the music came from, but it's kind of, I'd say my family was quasi musical,
Uh-huh,
sort
uh-huh.
of quasi.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, life has a tendency, even though we have plans, life has a tendency to throw us some unexpected turns. Would
Yeah.
you share with us a little bit how you overcame one or two unexpected turns and the lessons you learned from those?
So, what's interesting is that probably the most unexpected turn in my life would have been, let me see, I would have to say when I left the music industry and
Mm-hmm.
ended up in church administration. I
Wow.
never would have expected that. That was not what I intended to be doing. And it really kind of happened as a fluke. At least I thought it was a fluke.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I came off the road. I've been traveling out of the country predominantly, and I would be gone for months at a time.
Wow.
Came home off of the road, was preparing for thinking whether I wanted to do that again, take another stint, maybe with another.
Mhm.
And one day, I still remember it, my pastor called me and I had someone in the office call me and it said that his secretary was leaving town to take care of her mother.
Mhm.
And he wanted to know if I would come in and help out in the office
Mhm.
until he
Mhm.
got an assistant. And first of all, now looking back, I'm thinking to myself, why didn't I think about the fact, would he have ever known that I had any administrative or clerical skills?
Right, right, right.
Like, I don't even know how he would know that.
Mhm.
But I remember thinking, well, I'll help out. I'll go and do that. And I, I, I said, well, okay, so God, listen, this is what I need. If you want me to do this, then, I just kind of need a sign. Now, you got to understand. I understood that the Bible started with Genesis, ended with Revelations, and somewhere in between there was Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I knew that. But I did not know, like chapters and verse or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah,
But it came in my heart to open my Bible to Romans 16.
yeah.
And when I opened my Bible to Romans 16:1, it said something along the lines of, I commend to you Phoebe, a servant of the church.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, you trying to tell me something?
I don't like it.
So I took it, but it was supposed to be just something temporary.
Mm-hmm.
What was supposed to be a temporary help out ended up becoming a 7-year job. And that's where my call to ministry came.
Wow, 7 years.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting how sometimes we think we're just doing things and it's really pivotal into our future. Those little things that we think are just minor. It's just
That's it. And that's what I learned. That's what I learned from that the unexpected turns, oftentimes they point you in the direction of your destiny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying I didn't know that I would be called to ministry. That wasn't on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
In hindsight, I absolutely know this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would have seen as a turn, or, this transition, this change, was in fact just me being circumvented, my life being circumvented toward what my destiny was.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember when I left, leaving a job that I was on for 18 years, I was wondering, God, what are you doing? Where are we going? What's up with this? And when I tell you that has been the best thing, out of that came another book. Out of that came a new job where now I have freedom to travel. I have freedom to do speaking engagements. So what sometimes when we don't always see, the 5 or 6 years down the road, we just got to trust that God knows what He is doing.
He absolutely does. He absolutely does.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. Wow. I can relate to that. I remember listening to someone preaching. I can't remember who, and I want to say that I was listening to him this week. And he was talking about not taking those small things that happen in your life for granted, because those could be the things that could lead you to your destination. Those could be the things that could lead you to your next. We just never know.
That's it. Life uses everything.
Yes.
Life uses everything. Everything becomes an ingredient.
Yes.
For the fullness of your life.
Yes. And even when I look back now, all of the things that I've experienced, all of the transitions that I've gone through, all of those things have made me who I am today, have helped me. I can talk from divorce from a different perspective because I went through it.
That's it.
And I can help someone. And it's not to say that other people that have never been through a divorce can't help.
That's right.
But I think that I can touch them where some people that have never been through it can't touch.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think that everything that we go through has a purpose and has a meaning. Life uses everything, Pastor Carla says. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Absolutely. So what would you tell women that are experiencing like a major transition? She feels like she's been derailed, or she's unprepared for where she is, or she's not ready for that new place she's in. What would you say to women and men for that matter about how to navigate this new place?
Oh, now I have to admit to you, I am perpetually positive. Okay. I am. I think some of that is my personality. And that doesn't mean that I don't go through difficulties, but I guess I've just seen how the worst things in my life have turned for good.
Yes.
So I don't throw out negative situations.
Yes. Yes.
I remember years ago, my husband was preaching a sermon and he said, life is going to knock you down. And he went down on his knees on the pulpit. He said, and then sometimes when you think you're down, as far as you can go down, you get knocked again. And he just laid out prostrate on the floor. He said, but when you're down there, remember to look around because there's something down there that you can use when you get up.
Come on. Yes. Yes.
That's still preaching good.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll take a note on that and maybe use that. Yes.
Yeah. Not that I am a Pollyanna or I'm naive by any stretch of the imagination. It is just that I've lived long enough to know that the truth is that all things really do work together for good.
Yes.
They're not all good, but they do work together if we let them. Now, I had to say that because you asked me what would I tell somebody if they were going through a major transition and they're feeling derailed. And I wanted to deal with that because, see, to me, transitions can look like a derailing, when in fact, like I said, it could be a reroute. And there's a difference.
Yes, amen.
I immediately, when you said that, I thought about a train. So when you talk about a train derailing, you're saying it's coming off of its tracks. It's becoming deflected from its purpose, right? It is no longer capable of continuing its journey. But when you talk about reroute, then that's just a change of course. It's just a different path. So I'm saying that to say that we shouldn't automatically presume that a transition is a derail.
Amen.
It's not, it doesn't mean that it necessarily is. Now, they can be taxing to us, and in our humanity, we definitely want to say, this is not the way I planned it.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't have enough time for me to tell you all this is not the way I planned it moments in my life. But I can also say that there's nothing that has hit my life that I haven't been able to eventually say, okay, this is charcoal right now. This looks like charcoal, but if we keep on, this might turn out to be a diamond somewhere. So I would definitely tell them to spend some time in reflection. I think that's really important. In any transition, you've got to spend some time in reflection and ask yourself some questions. I like to ask these questions. For instance, I would ask myself the question, what do I need to do in this new place? Because transition is taking me someplace new. So what am I to do in this new place? Who can I connect with in this new place? You just mentioned that. You said, because of what you've been through. So when I'm going through a transition, I should be asking myself, who can I connect with in this new place that I'm transitioning to? I may not know exactly where I'm going to land, but who is it that I can bring alongside of me? I would also say, how do I maximize the new place? How do I make the best of this? Because transition, when you say transition suggests that we are moving in a direction. We haven't gotten there yet. And I think part of the problem is we are destination driven. And when you're destination driven, oftentimes you miss the journey. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I mean, I love to fly. I love to fly. Part of it is probably because I want to get where I'm going. I don't like car riding that much. 2.5 hours is about it. But I prefer to fly because I want to get where I'm going. And what I found, because I traveled internationally and I traveled so much, I started finding that I was becoming destination driven. And I was missing so many things along the way. And, sometimes you'd be on the plane or something like that, and somebody would say, oh, did you see so-and-so? I'd be like, no, I ain't see it. Oh, did you see that? No, I didn't. It was a takeoff. So what? It was a landing. So what? But then I started becoming observant in my journey. And I started finding that I was missing some beautiful things in that journey.
Yeah.
So I apply that same thing to transition. You got to be looking at that whole journey, if that's making sense. And this is the big one. I would tell them to ask yourself, what do I want to be when this transition is over?
Wow.
Not what do I want to do? What do I want to be? Who do I want to be at the end of this transition?
Wow.
How do I want to come out of this?
I hope y'all are taking notes. This is good stuff right here. They're dropping some of the notes in the chat, but and you can of course come back and watch this at any time. But I hope you're taking. It's 7:30 already. Oh my God!
I'm kidding. My mouth. Let me go.
No. This is so good. And you know what? When it's really, really good, I forget to look at the time. And I have certain things to do. You all, if you are just joining us, I want you to say hello to Dr. Deanne V. Johnson. She is just a woman full of wisdom. She's written several books. She has a book coming out April 12th.
April 24th is when it's supposed to be. If I get it to my editor in time. If my editor's watching, she's going to say, yeah, maybe not.
She's executive pastor of New Covenant Christian Ministries, and she is also, she has a ministry for women called Living in the Overflow or Overflow Ministries.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very excited to have her. She was one of the people that I asked to do a snippet when I wrote my last book. She's just a woman full of information. And it was just an honor for me to have her on tonight. Jacqueline said, awesome nuggets. Love my first lady. Okay. Pastor Nedra says, full of wisdom. Danielle said, I wish I could throw something at this computer. Y'all are helping me tonight. Janet says, great info. And then there are the list that she just gave us. Those are in the comment section as well. So as we continue on this journey, you said something earlier that I thought was so important. You talked about who do I need to connect to and who do I need to talk to? And that brings me to a question about your village and about those people in your circle.
Yeah.
I remember when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I think for the first time. The second time. The first time. And I was just didn't know what to do, what I was going to do. Yeah, I was a woman of faith, but cancer hadn't been associated with my name.
That's right.
There were people in my circle. And part of that circle came from New Covenant that just came out of the woodworks and provided support.
Yeah.
I remember Jan Moulton, when I was diagnosed, I'm going with me to chemotherapy because I was nervous. I was just a nervous wreck. And she would go with me when I had to go through chemotherapy. I remember them paying for my, when I was getting radiation, you had a copay. They took care of that. I remember when I went through my divorce, I had two friends since high school and middle school. I was on the couch. They came to the house and said, okay, girl, it's time to get you up off this couch. Let's go. We're going out to dinner tonight. I think people in your circle are just so important, and everybody can't be in your circle. That's just a given. Jesus had 12, and then he had 3 that was really close. So talk a little bit about the importance of having people in your life that can speak truth to you.
I think you just said it all, really. I think in pictures. So when you kept using the word circles in your life, and I started thinking about the fact that I think the circles in my life have always been concentric circles.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have friends. I immediately thought about some of my friends that have been my longest time friends from New York, and we're still super good friends. And so one of them turned, I think it was her when it was her 65th or 70th birthday. You know, I was dog tired after 3 services, and I still got on an airplane and flew to Brooklyn to be at that party. So there are people in my life that have been in my life for a very, very long time. My church family, very much a part of those concentric circles. And the reason I mention that is because, no, you're right. Everybody won't be immediately in your space. To be perfectly honest, my husband is my best friend. He is my absolute best friend. So that's my bud. And I can really talk to him about anything. But you know, you need some girlfriends. As much as tight as we are, I've got girlfriends that I can talk to, and I don't have to, you know, we don't have to use any titles, and we don't have to have on no makeup. You don't have to put on, you don't have to talk about you blessed and highly favored. No. And not only that, but the test of really good friends is when y'all can fall out and fall back in.
Come on now, come on.
So we don't always agree with one another, and we can disagree without being disagreeable, and then we can move on. We can just keep it moving. So I have been really blessed. Now, because I moved here in 1985, yeah, 1985, I moved to Georgia, and I only knew one person in Georgia. So truthfully, in Georgia, all of my support system has come out of the church.
Wow.
All of it. And the beauty of it is, like yourself. See, relationships don't require that we stay in the same worship center. So even though you're somewhere else now, others of my friends are other places now, I still have those relationships. So if I need somebody to talk to, I know who is a therapist. I know who is, you know, I know who will give me the truth. And so those relationships are vital. They are vital. And I often say, if you are blessed to have good friends, you're rich.
Yes.
You're absolutely rich. So yeah, I'm a great proponent of keeping a close community of people, with the understanding that everybody won't hold the same position. Now, in more recent times, during Overflow, when I started Overflow, it was just me. Well, God just kind of brought 4 women alongside of me in that effort. And to me, they literally, we call ourselves soul sisters.
That's what somebody said. Jacqueline said, soul sisters.
Yep, that's one of them. The soul sisters. Those girls, they push me. They push me and they pull me. I know that if I'm going too far, Andre is going to say, "Come on back." If I'm not going far enough, Arnita's going to say, "Keep, go on." We tease. I say, "LaVon gonna make sure I eat." And Jay's gonna make sure I look good. But so I have such rich relationships in my life. And I would say this, especially those of us who are women in leadership, we have to stop buying into this belief that you get to a certain point where you can't have close friends. Particularly, I would speak to women who are wives of pastors, first ladies, preachers, whatever you are, whatever that capacity is. When you are that quote first lady in the church, many times you hear, "Oh, it's lonely. Nobody, people just want to be next to you because they want to be next to your husband, or vice versa." I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that. I think it is a dangerous and erroneous proposition to believe that leadership means that you have to walk alone.
Yes.
That's a trick of the enemy so that you will not have accountability. And then he can put you in a position where you don't have character because you have nobody to come alongside you and pull your coattail.
Come on, come on. Pastor Tamika Gore says, that's good, mama. That's when you need friends the most.
That this sure is. It really is.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You always need somebody in your corner that, as you said earlier, that you can take your titles off, you can take all of that, and you can just be your girl. Let me tell you what happened today.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just need somebody that you can just let it all out to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know that they have your confidence. They're going to be your confidant. They're not going to share your business.
That's right.
You don't need all of that stuff. This is the social work part coming out. You don't need all of that stuff on the inside of you. That stuff can come out in forms of ulcers and all sorts of physical ailments. So you need to get that stuff out. Wow, this is We're talking about leaders, and you mentioned leaders. Talk about a little bit about some of the barriers that you faced and how you've overcome as a leader. Not only in the church, but when you were in the corporate world, the leadership that the barriers that you've had to overcome as being a woman. And then we're going to deal with being an African-American woman.
Wow. So truthfully, I didn't experience, how can I say it? I think that in corporate, we have learned to dress up biases and prejudices so very well that you don't recognize them as easily. So you don't realize that it's the good old boys club because you don't golf. So you don't recognize that you're being excluded. You just know, I don't golf. I'm not interested in that. So I was fortunate enough to in my corporate career to get promotions and that kind of thing. But thankfully, and I say thankfully, I was retired from there before it came to the place where I was having to be at a level where it would be more and more obvious that there was not room for it. But of course, you still had, thankfully, I was never the victim of it, but I know women who were very much victim of misogynism and, all right, little lady, you just sit right over here kind of thing. So, and it's reprehensible on any level. But so I didn't really have to go through that very much. And then coming from, I've had such a diverse background because my background really started out in creative, in music, and then coming into the corporate arena, I wasn't really, I wasn't cut out for that. I'm trying to get up to the top. I wasn't trying to get the corner office, I was really just committed to doing the best job that I possibly could within the ranks of management that I went to. So some of it you can't go by me because, I don't really care too much what people think. So
yes, I do know that.
I don't really too much care. So as long as you're giving me my paycheck, I'm kind of all right.
Your coins, they giving you your coins.
My coins don't bother me. I won't bother you.
You all, we are coming almost. We are 2/3 of the way. So if you have questions, I would encourage you to go ahead and put them in the chat. We usually end by 8. We know the president is going to be on tonight, and I don't want to hinder you all from hearing what's going to be said tonight. He did sign the bill, so some of us will be getting, some of you all will be getting your stimulus. So we're very happy about that. I have to say that when I was director, there was a time when decisions were being made in meetings and I wasn't included in the meeting.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to navigate it so that you don't come out as being the angry Black woman.
Oh, absolutely.
So that you don't come out as being insubordinate. But so that you let them know that what's going on is not professional.
Yeah.
And I had to do that, and I navigated it. It came out okay, and she was giving me the service, the voice of saying, I won't do that again. I don't know if it happened or not. But it's just really important that we know, even if we know that we're being wrong, there is still a way to handle it.
Absolutely.
We don't go in and take off our earrings and say we're gonna. No, that's not the way to do it. It's you still professional. You're still, if you are a Christian, you're still representing the kingdom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it wasn't until you said that I realized something too. I worked for a huge corporation. So it would be years of working for them before I would get to that kind of level. So here again, you just never know when you're being protected and kept. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely know what you're saying. But I think that that's true in every situation, because you started asking me about it just in a corporate environment as a woman. Now we didn't talk about being as an African-American woman.
All right, let's go on and go there.
Well, yeah, I didn't know if we wanted to go down that road, but but in actuality, it's interesting because having grown up in the North, again, racism was couched very differently than it was in the South. But that doesn't mean that it didn't exist. As a matter of fact, I remember my first experience with racism was actually in the 5th grade. We had a pen pal exercise in my class where we were writing to college students, and we continued that process for months. And then it was decided that we would exchange pictures.
Wow.
And when we exchanged pictures, my pen pal stopped writing back.
Wow.
And I remember asking my grandmother about that. I thought that was just so strange. And that's when we had our first conversation about racism. And then, of course, moving on the road, when I was with Gloria Gaynor, we performed in South Africa during apartheid.
Wow.
And I recall 2 things that struck me. One, there's a precious woman who cleaned my room every day, but she in the complex, in the theater that we were performing in, but she could not come to the performance. She could not come inside the theater because it was almost like a place that you would see, like in what we go to Las Vegas and see. She could not come to the show. We were invited to an event and someone said I could go, but Gloria could not.
Wow.
Because of the difference in our complexion. So the reality is, not only do we deal with issues as it relates to racism, but we also deal with issues as it relates to colorism.
Yes.
And a lot of that, so it's almost like you get it from both sides. So you know that there's a faction of people outside of your race who have already decided that you are less important because of the melanin in your skin. And then within your own race, I think that it's perpetuated. I honestly believe it's from slavery, and it's designed to be a mechanism to keep infighting and to keep us separated. And so we struggle on several levels as women and as women of color. And so if anything, I would say we need to control the narrative that we can control.
Yeah.
We can't kill racism, but we can surely kill colorism.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember growing up as a kid, and we had an older couple that would babysit my sister and myself while my mom and dad went to work. And the lady favored my sister because she was lighter.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And she it was it wasn't a secret,
Yeah.
that's who she favored, that's who she wanted to hang around, that's who she paid attention to,
Yeah.
and it was just a given.
Now, just imagine that. Fortunately, that was your sister.
Hmm.
But just imagine if that was a friend.
Hmm.
Over time, no matter how much you love that friend, it could create animosity in
Yes.
your heart against your friend. And
Yes.
have you thinking that your friend felt that she was something better or different than she was. Not because of anything she did, but because of the unfair treatment from someone else.
Hmm.
And I think that's where we have really bought in um, to uh, to this diabolical, demonic thing
Hmm.
as it relates to colorism. And a lot of it, I believe, is designed to kind of break us down and cause us not to love who we are.
Hmm. Hmm.
We got to, yeah, it's got to change. It really has.
There is a book, I can't think of her name, but it's called The Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And
Mm,
Dr. Joy, I can't think of her last name, but she talks about in the book some of the things that it has been passed down to us, and we don't even realize
that's it.
from slavery that
Yeah.
we've passed down. She gives example after example. She has a couple of YouTube presentations. If you all would go on there, it was just so eye-opening to me, that stuff that we still do, and we wonder why we do it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
started way back.
Way back.
Wow.
That seed has continued to live in us and germinate within us. And it has continued to cause us to turn in on one another.
Hmm. 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 And I think the enemy loves that. I think he can polarize us, when he can separate us,
Absolutely.
that's all the more part of his plan.
Absolutely.
But we have got to come to a place that we celebrate one another, and
Yeah.
we help one another
Yeah.
when they need help. Just like we do with our circles. Just like,
Yeah.
when we were dealing with whatever we're dealing with, we have people that would say, you know what, I'm gonna come and help you
That's right.
because I want you to be a success.
That's right.
And then once you're a success, I'm gonna celebrate because I'm so excited. I'm so happy for you.
I love hearing you say that. I have a saying I've been saying in the last few years. I've been saying, my ceiling has to become another sister's floor.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's my life mantra. I want to spend the rest of my life making sure that my ceiling is another woman's floor. I want sisters in my circle. And when I say my circle, I'm just talking about my sphere of
Yeah.
influence. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
care
yeah.
if somebody who will listen to this, next month. I may never meet them, but I want them to be able to have a trajectory from where I've already been, not have to try to do it all over again.
Yes. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. I've already invented it. Now you step on that and go forward.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about. And that's, to me, I just think that when we do that, we are, to me, we're advancing the kingdom. When you are propelling someone to be their best, or propelling them into their future,
Yeah.
to their
Yeah.
destiny, to their calling, to their purpose.
Yeah.
For me, that's what it's about.
Listen, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm enjoying this so much. But when you said that, I was thinking, and I thought immediately somebody's probably thinking, well, I don't have that kind of relationship, and I don't have anything, any way to propel anybody. Listen, it's as simple as this. Always ask yourself, When somebody leaves my presence, do they feel better about me or do they feel better about themselves?
Come on.
Make it your life mission so that when people leave your presence, they feel better about themselves.
Yes. Yeah. I could do the holy dance right now if I knew how to do it.
You better do your dance.
That would be a mess. But yes, you want them to feel better. And you know what? You can even help people when you feel like you're at your worst. I remember talking to so many people, helping so many people when I was in the midst of a divorce.
Yeah.
It was so strange. People were coming out of the woodworks, and I was like, God, what are you doing? But it's not about you.
Yeah.
To be really honest,
Yeah.
it's you are here for purpose.
That's exactly.
And I had to realize, you got to help somebody, help the next person so that they don't have to experience this.
That's right. That is exactly right.
Wow. You all, Tamika says, love this. Yes, thank you. Jacqueline says, overflow. And the name of the book is Post-Traumatic Stress Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy. Degruy. I don't know how you pronounce that, but you can go on YouTube and she has plenty of videos out there. She's a professor at some college and she's done a whole study. Well, we're not going to get to everything that we were going to talk about tonight because it is 7:56. Oh my God. Oh. I'll just ask you a couple of more questions. Who inspired you and why?
Short answers. Okay, my grandmother, my father's mother, because in their 60s, they took me from the hospital and raised me till I was 10. And that was after raising 9 children of their own. So they, and it was that same grandmother who told me that if I were the only person in the world, that God loved me so much that he would have still sent Jesus. Jesus would have still died just for me. And so that just absolutely painted something on my life that has never eroded and never will. My mother's mother, because she had 12 children, and then I took me from 10 to 16 until I moved out. And those grandparents taught me the value of money. They really encouraged me to step out on my own and be independent. And they celebrated it. They celebrated independence and independent thinking. And so I think that would be it. And then 2 other people who really come to my mind are Dr. Irene Harvey. Both of these ladies have gone on to be with the Lord. But Dr. Irene Harvey was a preacher that I heard at Beulah Baptist Church when I first came to Atlanta. And she was the first woman preacher that I'd ever heard who embodied her femininity, but still was very comfortable in her call. Because I had not seen that before. And she continued to be a mentor to me until her health failed her and she went on to be with the Lord. And Dr. Juanita Smith of the Foursquare Church. And that's probably because, again, another ministry woman, she was married, and the way she managed her life with her husband, her honor to her husband, but still fulfilling her call. So those are the 4, my grandfathers, of course, as well. But when I think of women, especially in Women's History Month, those 4 women really impacted me.
Would you, what book are you reading right now? What book would you suggest for us that are listening?
Lord have mercy. You know I'm an avid reader, right? So,
I know.
I only, one book? No.
Okay, a couple, two.
3.
Okay, 3.
Okay. The Circle Maker by Mark.
That's a good one.
That's a must. That's a must for your library. Let's move on. The Emotionally Healthy Woman, Jerry Scazzaro. She and Peter Scazzaro have written a whole series on the emotionally healthy church, the emotionally healthy leader. But Jerry has done the emotionally healthy woman. I think it's valuable, a valuable read.
Mhm.
And then I would say The Truth About Men by Devon Franklin, because I think that women need to understand men better. We can live with them better when we understand them better.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I always try to keep at least 1 to 2 books in my annual arsenal that was written to a man. I try to read something that was written to a man.
Wow, that is amazing. That's good. Thank you for putting those in the chat. You all, there you go. So make sure you go out and get them. And I guess my final question, oh my goodness. Okay, I have 2 final questions.
You can, you're the host.
Well, I don't want to keep you past your time, and I know
Good.
how do you keep your resilience? How do you keep your bounce back when trouble comes or something happens?
Oh, that's a good question. I would have to say, I know we're not going churchy,
No,
but,
you do you.
but I believe in a strong devotional life.
Mhm.
And when I say a strong devotional life, people have to learn to meet God the way they meet him.
Mhm.
For me, reading my Bible every day, some kind of devotional materials that I'm going through, and some kind of journaling are critical. And what I find is that when the difficulties come, first of all, then I have a reserve,
Mhm.
and a reserve in 2 places. I have an emotional reserve, and I have a spiritual reserve. And by spiritual, I mean a reserve of the word,
Mhm.
so that I can filter what I'm going through the word.
Mhm.
See, you can't wait until you're in the middle of an argument to try to tame your tongue. You have to have that, because that's my habit. And I don't want to make it sound like, Miss Perfect, and I'm always,
Right.
knee deep in my Bible for 6 hours. No, but what I am saying is I can tell a distinct difference in how I deal with adversity and challenges. And listen, everything is not an adversity or a challenge. Sometimes we're just funky.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Come on now.
Sometimes we're just funky. Sometimes we just got a nasty attitude. So you get, after you walk with the Lord for a while, you're not doing the big 3 anymore. You're not out there doing that. But if somebody could
Yes.
read your thoughts, they
Yes.
are not consistent with the mind of Christ. So I have this, now I can filter what I'm feeling through that. And I think also emotional intelligence, to be able to communicate and articulate that something's wrong, listen, and be okay that something's wrong.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm
Woo.
angry, and I'm owning that I'm angry. And I work through it. This is why I'm angry. And because, see, when you try to gloss over stuff, that's when it becomes explosive.
Mhm.
When you started in the beginning talking about how, we put on these masks, and,
Mhm.
everything's wonderful and I'm great. But then you don't practice emotional intelligence,
Mhm.
because we don't own how we are feeling. So
Mhm.
that's really how it is. If I'm angry about something, if I'm feeling under the weather, if I'm feeling, I might be angry, and I have to sit with it for a minute and find out I'm angry because what you said to me was true, and I didn't want to hear the truth.
Wow. Come on.
So just, I would say that's how I deal with it. That's how I deal with it.
That is amazing that I had an opportunity today. And I had to say, Lord, now I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
Well, I need you to help me process this and help me get through this, because this feeling feels like something when I was being mistreated before.
Yes.
So God, help me walk through this and help me get my emotions in check.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Oh my
that is
goodness.
called emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time talking about spiritual
Mhm.
maturity. I find that we have a lot of spiritually mature people who are emotionally immature.
Yes.
And
Yes.
when I say spiritually mature, they know scripture, they pray, they know all the names of God, but they can't get along with people.
Yes. 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 Oh my
There's
goodness.
something wrong with that. There's
Yes.
something wrong with that. So we really have to own up and grow up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Own up and grow up. Come on now. Own up and grow up. Wow.
Mhm. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's good. That's
Mhm.
good. Wow. All right. Y'all didn't put any questions in. So I'm gonna go on with my okay, this is my last question. I guess you just so this is just a wealth of information and I'm just all over the place. I know
Well,
I'm
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm yours.
wow. What are you most proud of?
Mm. What came to my mind immediately was finishing, well, two things. Finishing my degree, getting my doctorate. No, just getting a degree, really, because I signed myself out of high school when I was 17, when I was a senior. I had signed myself out of high school. So I was a high school dropout.
Wow, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I signed myself out of high school. And okay, talk about emotional immaturity. My
Uh-huh.
mother called me on my birthday, which was April. She called me on my birthday at my grandmother's house. She made me mad about something, and I went to the school and signed myself out. She
Wow.
accused me of something that I hadn't done, and immature, foolish. I went and signed myself out of high school. So in New York, you graduate, you come out of school in June. So it was 2 months before graduation. Um, Signed myself out, and then in I think September or October of that year, I studied for the GED, and I got my GED. And of course, you heard me allude to the fact that I moved away from
Yeah.
home at a very young age. So I didn't know that you could still go to college or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Worked and I went to college, not college, I'm sorry, I did my GED. And then later on, after I got my GED, then I went to like night school for a little bit, but
Uh-huh.
I just couldn't see how I would ever finish college. And it was only until I went to a job interview sometime later, and on the little application, they tell you to put your graduation years, and I said I didn't graduate from high school, and the HR people, they did hire me, and the HR lady said, "Well, that's not what your school says." They said you had enough hours to graduate, you just didn't graduate.
Wow.
So going on, I really wanted, that was one thing I wanted, was to get a college degree.
Yeah.
And so when I got my bachelor's, I was over the moon, never expected that I would have gotten a doctoral degree, that I would have gone on.
Wow.
Um,
That is amazing.
and then I think just from a more personal standpoint, I think the thing I'm most proud of is that um, I I don't allow my mistakes to define who I am.
Wow.
Where,
That's
where
volume.
yeah, where I've messed up, it's what I did. It's not who I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Amen. Amen.
know?
It doesn't define define who you are. You may have done that, but you are not that.
Yeah. It doesn't define my character. It doesn't define who I am. And I'm proud of that because I had to work for that.
Yeah.
That doesn't come naturally. It doesn't come easily. It's very easy. And I understand when people become entrenched in what they've done and that sense of, I'm a miserable person. I understand how that can happen. But by the grace of God, I've been able to kind of made plenty of mistakes, but I've been able to understand that's what I did, but that's not who I am.
Amen. Amen. Do y'all hear that? Do you all hear that? Just because you made a mistake, that's not necessarily who you are. And I had a couple of people on a couple of months ago. They were they had gone to prison, and now they were doing really well in life.
Yeah.
And they talked about how that stigma was trying to stick with them, but they refused to allow it to stay.
That's right. That's right.
It's oh wow, this has been so amazing. I almost feel like I need to do a part 2. Please tell us again how about your ministries, your outreach, how we can get in contact with you, and all of that information.
So the easiest way, obviously, my website is liveintheoverflow.org. Liveintheoverflow.org. I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/Overflow Ministries. On Twitter at DRDV Johnson, and on Instagram at DRDV Johnson.
You better get connected.
I need to do something with them, girl. I'm on everything. I'm on every platform and ain't doing nothing. But that's going to change this year. This year, I'm going to do something.
Prophetess Carla said, this has been tremendous. Thank you, Dr. Ann B. Johnson, for your story, and thank you for sharing it with us. Christopher Smith, my cousin, says, I'm going to use that. All right. And R.L. McAdams says, yes, part 2. Pastor Tamika says, this has been better than the prayers. You can watch the recording or read the highlights. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Wow.
This has been good.
I
want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart. You all will always be a part of my family, whether I'm here or in Africa. You all will always be a part of my family. I will always call New Covenant home, because you all sort of birthed me, and I am so appreciative to what you all done for my family, for me, for my sister, and for my nieces. It's just, I just love y'all. Just bottom line, period.
Well, we love you right back. Yeah. Really do. And I'm so incredibly proud of you. I really am, for all that you are doing and all that you have accomplished. I mean, I know the story, and I know what you've come through, and to see you on this side and maximizing it, that's the thing, and making a platform and making room for others. So I don't always get a chance to tell you, but since I have the mic now, let me tell you how proud I am.
The one that has the mic has the
power. You got the power, girl. You know it. So let me use the mic to say thank you so much for who you are. Thank you for never letting anything block you from what you have to do, and for your heart of service too. Because listen, I'm telling you, it takes a very special kind of person to deal with social work and with people. And you have that same love for people, whether it's in ministry. See, I watched you in both in a number of spheres. and you take care of people so beautifully and so carefully in so many different areas and in so many different capacities. And that's a treasure. That really is. So
Thank you. Don't make me cry. Let's change the subject.
You just shouldn't be so good.
Before we end, are there any final remarks, any last thoughts that you would like to share with the people before we close out?
No, I just that this really has been this has been amazing. I'm always kind of blown away that anybody really wants to sit and listen to something, listen to me for an hour. But I do want to thank you for the opportunity and for the platform. My prayer is that people will not just hear sound bites, but they'll really hear my heart, and that they'll be able to take something, extract something, and put it to use. Don't just put it in a journal. Put it to use. Don't just repeat it in a sermon. Put it into action. Do something with it. You don't have to do everything, but you got to do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, absolutely. Put it into action. Put it into action.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm going to get off since Caleb is just insist on being in the shot. And he's supposed to be going to bed.
You're going to interview Caleb next.
Oh, just come on over here.
There you go.
This is Jocelyn's son. He's 6 and he loves being on the show. So say hello to the people. Hello. Okay. All right. Now goodbye. All right. Thank you.
That might be support, girl. You never know.
I know, right? He's gonna say, auntie. Can I be your auntie? All right, you all. Hey, Wanda Scott. Thank you for joining us. Oh, I told you.
That's the sweetest lady ever. Let me tell you.
She sure is. She and her mama. Just both sweet.
So
you,
sweet.
Girl, you got a following. I told you how to follow.
Listen, maybe somebody out there will help me with this social media and I'll really get a following. Because this is a whole new world right now. I'm telling you. I'm struggling. I'm struggling.
I know. I have a daughter, a niece that says, "Did you put anything on social media today? You need to do such and such." Okay, this app that will tell you need to post at this time. This is the time that people. I'm like, okay, just tell me what to do.
Yeah, Danielle's going to help me out. I'm telling you, somebody's got to help me because I'm just. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. But I'm committed to change.
Yes. Come on. We're going to do better this year.
We are going to do better.
This is the year. All right, y'all. Thank you all so much for joining. And hey, I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm going to have a special guest on again. And we'll be talking about transition and all of its facets. Oh, for the people that don't even know, my name is Sonya Cruel, and I am the transition coach. I deal with transition in any form, whether you are talking about getting a divorce, whether you're becoming an empty nester, whether you're retiring, you are going to college, or anything that deals with transition. I'm not talking about moving from one chair to the next, but I'm talking about life. You're retiring. You're not going back to work. You're an empty nester. They have moved out. So I deal with all of that. And if you are interested, you are more than welcome to visit my webpage, which is sonyatcruel.org. I have more information, or is it sonyatcruel.com? I think it is. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep Caleb out of the picture and do this at the same time. It's sonyatcruel.com, and you can find more information about me. Thank you all so much, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. Be safe. Wear your mask. I don't care what people say. You need to wear your mask. It's not over yet. Wear your mask and stay 6 feet apart. Love you guys.